Well, the African Energy Chamber on Tuesday released a new outlook report on the state of the South African energy in 2023. That report offered a detailed overview of the energy sector of Africa's most advanced economy and lots more. I'm chatting to this now with the Chief Executive Officer at Mahube Infrastructure Limited, Konse Musaneke in South Africa. Sir, we thank you for connecting to us on the program tonight.
Thank you very much for having me.
Good to see you. Give me just a brief brush down of the findings in this latest report on state of South Africa's energy.
Thank you for the opportunity. Look, the report itself is self-contained and quite detailed. There are approximately 35 main points that we highlight from the report. Top of the list is that we are, as South Africa, in a state of power outage grip. And that power outage grip is a result of the aging coal-fired power stations that we rely on for electricity supply in the country. Of course, there's a whole host of other factors that we dig into in the report. On the one hand, the ability of the state utility, Eskom, to raise funds in order to be able to afford some of the electricity tariffs that it has had to pay, particularly on the earlier rounds of the renewable energy independent power production program. But there's a number of other factors that are at play. As you may be aware, we have been suffering for the past 2 years, really, quite extreme episodes of load shedding. Really, that is a power outage that is intended to avert total blackout. In 2022, we experienced quite severe power cuts, and this year alone, say for this past weekend, we have been experiencing at least 2 hours of load shedding. In some instances, has been going as far up as 10 hours. Now, all of this is happening in a South Africa that is well endowed with natural resources for renewable energy power production on the one hand, that still has quite abundant resources of coal, which may be used for power production. I mean, we are a major exporter of this type of coal to some European countries that use it for their own power production. Yeah. And as you may know, we have a fleet of power stations that add up to about just under 50 gigawatts of installed capacity that use this coal to generate electricity. But we've also made a commitment to transition to lower carbon emission power generation. The gap there in terms of a budget to achieve that transition is estimated at about $100 billion US.
Yes.
And that is what will have to be spent over the next 5 years.
So what I'm trying, I appreciate this background you're providing, sir. Thank you so much. I'm just trying to find out right now, based on this report, how does South Africa plan to move forward to bring that significant investment from the private sector? What needs to change, and how quickly should things change? What is there for investors who are looking in from outside into South Africa, an already advanced economy in terms of infrastructure, in terms of industrialization, to get out of the present situation? What is in this particular new report from the African Energy Chamber? What is the future forward thinking, an action plan?
So what is clear is that renewable energy is an important part of the energy mix going forward, and that much has been confirmed in the integrated resource plan for the country that envisages that by 2030, at least 30% of the energy resource will be supplied by solar and onshore wind. What is also clear is that gas will play an important role as a transition fuel of electric power. Now, at that level, we do have some domestic gas prospects, particularly in the southern Cape offshore, where a number of significant finds have been announced, with Total Energies leading those. And then, of course, on the West Coast, where just south of the Namibian maritime borders, there's great prospects to match what has been discovered on the northern side of the maritime borders. So we expect that gas is going to be an equally important mix, a part of the energy mix. Coal will continue to be of some importance, just given the significant scale of installed capacity. But we are anticipating that about 40% of the current installed capacity is going to be decommissioned over the next 10 years. And when it is decommissioned, the sites that currently host these coal power stations will be available to be converted into alternative sources of electricity power generation.
Okay, so all of these kind of coming together of renewable energies, alternative energy coming through the what the nuclear power plant that ESCOM is struggling to put back on stream, the evolution that you're looking at, when is this going to happen? 5 years, 10 years, what needs to happen? What will it look like?
Yeah, look, so as I say, we have an integrated resource plan. The last one was put together in 2019. And it forecasts that we will have a total installed capacity of about 80 gigawatts by 2030. That of that 80 gigawatts, only about 33 or so will be power generated from coal power stations. The significant addition will be approximately 26 gigawatts, which will be made up of onshore wind, together with solar photovoltaic. And then the balance is expected to be gas at just under 7 gigawatts, essentially more than doubling the current gas and diesel capacity, together with some storage capacity coming through at about 6 gigawatts.
Okay, so what are you folks doing at the African Energy Chamber? What's your outlook? What do you have in terms of your programs of engagement? You're a member of the advisory board of the AEC to support what South Africa's energy situation is right now. What is happening? What do you have on board for 2023?
Look, the work of the Africa Energy Chamber has been to support different African countries with their energy development, specifically through the creation and the implementation of an enabling environment. South Africa is without exception, and we engage quite actively with the various role players and stakeholders in the South African environment. Ultimately, what we are interested in is to promote policies that will contribute towards ending energy poverty across African communities, where an estimated 600 million Africans are without adequate access to energy. So our task, particularly for the next year, is to look to crowd in investment into the African energy sector, to look to promote a balanced approach to energy provision, not only renewable energy, which is important from a climate and sustainability point of view, but also to take advantage of the abundant hydrocarbon, particularly gas resources that Africa has, in order to ensure that we alleviate the crippling challenges of energy poverty across the continent. And then, of course, importantly, one of our flagship events is the Africa Energy Week, wherein we bring together a range of change agents in the energy space from across the African continent and from the diaspora. And those are really the elements that we will be focusing on for the year ahead.
All right. Thank you so much. Gonse Musaneke, the CEO at Mahube Infrastructure Limited in South Africa. Thank you so much. We appreciate you joining us on the show tonight. Have a great evening and see you again sometime.